Hi, everybody. Today I am very excited to be interviewing Robert DeCastella. A quick little introduction and history of Robert. Robert, at the age of 14, was an outstanding track athlete, and as a teenager, he trained under Pat Clohesi. Is that correct? How I
That's right.
pronounce
Yep.
that? Yeah.
Yep, it is, Donna.
Yeah, to become the world marathon champion and also dual Commonwealth champion. So, yeah, welcome, Robert. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to join you.
Thank you. Hey, you first came to international attention, I believe, in 1981 when you won the Fukuoka. Did I pronounce that right?
Yep, spot on. Yep, you've got that Japanese
Yeah.
linguistic skills down pat.
I'm having a bit of issues with a few words, sorry. And that was in a fantastic time of 2 hours and 8 minutes. You show off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a world record at the time. So it was,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
one of
I,
my fastest races.
yeah, fantastic. Well done. Also, I'll just, for those who aren't aware of your history, well, quite a few things in the list to mention. The 1982 Commonwealth Games were in Brisbane, and also in 1983 the Rotterdam Marathon, which you won as well. The Commonwealth Games in 1986, the World Championships in athletics in 83. Shall I go on? Boston Marathon in
Yeah,
86.
I had a great career.
I
It
know.
was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And so there is a bit of a list, but what my question is, I suppose, with all of those achievements, Robert, which race stands out for you and why?
Oh, look, it's a hard question. I mean, they're all really special,
Yeah,
and sort of as my career developed, the races really encapsulated different periods in my career. But some of the most special ones were the Commonwealth Games up in Brisbane.
yeah,
Back in 1982, because it was such an exciting race and it was a home Commonwealth Games, and the way the race unfolded, I was a minute and a half behind at halfway, and then to pick up the two Tanzanians and go on and win was a very exciting race,
yeah,
and I think that helped to promote the whole sport of marathon running. And back in the 80s, there was the running boom. We're going through another running boom at the moment. But through the 1980s, there was a huge popularity. It was before the triathlon became popular, and road races and especially the marathon were really growing in participation numbers. So to do that in '82, I think helped to promote the sport a lot, and it certainly helped to establish me as a top international athlete. The other race which really sticks out in my memories is the 1986 Boston Commonwealth race, where it was my fastest marathon, and Boston was and still is sort of the sort of the spiritual home of the marathon. If you maybe sort of the
yeah,
original marathon in from Marathon to Athens in Greece is one, but then the other spiritual home is the Boston Marathon, because it's just been going for so long,
yeah,
and to win that and set a course record and run my fastest time was I think probably my best race
yeah.
of all of them.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you. Also, Robert, what is, I don't know if you've been asked this before, what's the one point of advice that you would give someone who would like to start running but doesn't think their body would be up for the training?
Oh, look, I mean, I think the most important thing is consistency, and not trying to do too much. So you've got to be patient, and also temper that with persistence and consistency. Running is something that all of us can do. Some people just find it a little bit harder to get into a groove and find their pattern. But running is something which is inherent in all of us. Yeah. And if you stick with it for a while and you're just patient, if you don't try to run too fast, if you don't try to run too far, if you find somewhere really enjoyable, a nice course on a nice soft surface, then and you stick with it, you'll find that it'll really just settle into your body. And then gradually you start to give yourself a couple of goals, whether it be a 5K fun run or a 10K fun run, and then maybe one day in years down the track focus on doing the ultimate, which is obviously the marathon.
Yeah. Oh, what you were saying, I was smiling because Sean, my coach, will be kind of going, "I told you so, Donna," because I think at the beginning I was trying to do too much at once and getting impatient with myself. And I think what you're saying is right now. I've learnt.
Yeah, look, running is very different from all of the other sports. We all have an ability to be long distance runners, some obviously faster than others, but we can all run long distance. But it just takes a little while sometimes to settle into the groove and the pattern of running. Hang on, my phone's just going off.
Go for it. That's right.
So you really, you just start off, and it's like, you've got to grease the groove.
Yeah.
We talk about, greasing the groove of running, which means you've got to find the style and the pattern that suits your biomechanics and your body. And before you can grease the groove, you've got to create the groove, and it'll take 2 to 3 months of just consistent, steady running 3 to 4 times a week to actually create the groove. And then once you've actually got that groove and that pattern in, then the more you do, the more comfortable you'll be, and the better your body will respond, and the fitter you'll get, and the easier you'll find it.
Thank you. Okay, wise words from an expert. Also, Robert, what's the difference between a good runner to become a world-class runner? What's the major difference in their personality? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, I think to be a top runner, it takes 3 things. One is you've got to have the attitude. You've got to be able to perform under pressure. You've got to be able to have that consistency and not overtrain. You've got to listen to your coach. You've got to sort of do all of those things that are a part of your personality. Secondly, you've got to have the physiology, so your heart and your lung and your circulatory system and all of those physiological things need to be there. And thirdly, you need to have a body that's durable, that doesn't break down and get injured.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating for some athletes that I've trained with who have got all of the natural ability and have got the greatest attitude, but they're hamstrung by their body, which is always getting injured.
Yeah.
And conversely, from a coaching perspective, it's incredibly frustrating to have someone who's got all of that natural ability and has got the body, but doesn't have the attitude. They I think are probably a coach's greatest frustration. Someone who just doesn't listen and keeps on either sort of training too hard or sort of coming in and coming out, losing motivation, and then coming back all fired up, because you've got to have that consistency. So you need all 3. You've obviously got to have some natural ability, but you've also got to have a good attitude, and you've got to have a strong body as well.
Yeah. I agree, and I'm really interested in the mindset of someone who can run a marathon in 2 hours. Wow. I'm sure I can do it in 6.
Yeah, it's just what you're trained to do. I mean, it's like anything. If you're training twice a day, 7 days a week for the best part of 5 or 6 years, you expect to run well. And that's what I did. I mean, I started off, as you said, as a young 13 and 14-year-old, and trained all the way through. By the time I was 17, I was training twice a day. I was running 160 kilometres a week by the time I was 18 or 19. And then, I maintained between 200 and 240 kilometres a week for at least 5 or 6 years. Never took any time off. I used to count the number of days that I trained without having a day off. And I got up over 1,000 days of just, training every single day, regardless of whether, I'm not sure it was very sensible, because even if I had the flu or I was sick, I'd still, put on all my tracksuit and beanie, and I'd go out and run for 5 kilometres, which was my minimum run.
Yeah.
But it was just like a mindset to keep myself training, and you've got to just hang in there. When you dedicate yourself to something to that extent, you expect to perform well, and I was lucky that I did.
Yeah, of course. Because what sort of self-talk do you go through even when you're running something as hard as a marathon? The hours, and I'm sure when you speak to any marathon runner, they may joke even about the self-talk that goes on sometimes. They go up and down, I believe, which I don't know I'll experience when I when I finally do. But what can you explain? What sort of self-talk you did for yourself?
Oh, look, it's always about staying positive. We always have the negative thoughts that so often and so easily come into our consciousness. And for me, when I was racing, it was always about just reinforcing the positive and just staying in that positive mindset. Convincing myself that I've been training really well, I've been training hard, staying relaxed, being competitive, just really trying to maintain that positive frame of mind. And as soon as you started to hear those little negative voices eating away at you, you'd push them away and just stay focused on the positive.
Yeah. Oh, good advice. Thank you. I have a few people that follow Run Donna Run that I put out there, if anyone, because there's so many fans of yours and wanting to ask any questions. And is it okay if I ask some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kate wanted to know what your favourite moment in running is. But was that what you answered earlier, the Boston and the Commonwealth?
Yeah, look, I think some of the best moments I've had have been, sort of celebrating what I did with my family and my training group. So I'd often train hard back here in Australia, and then go over to Europe or America and compete. And then it was always great coming back and actually sort of just celebrating and acknowledging the contribution that everyone else had made. People say that running is an individual and a solitary thing, but it's not really. It's like anything; you can't do it by yourself. And having the opportunity to just sort of enjoy the achievements with the people who are really close to me, who contributed so much to my success, was great. I just used to be tickled pink by the excitement and the enjoyment that my family and my training partners would get from my success, which was really nice.
Yeah. You come from a big family too, don't you, Robert? Being
the eldest of 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big responsibility, being the eldest, is it?
It is. I'm the eldest son of the eldest son of the eldest son, so it goes back a fair way. So my dad convinced me at a very young age that I was destined for greatness. And I think that confidence or that self-belief is also really important to instill in our children. It's it's not quite an entitlement, but it's certainly not feeling as though the success is something which they don't deserve and aren't entitled to have. So I never was uncomfortable with being successful.